Hey gang, so this little live was completely unannounced and I'm so sorry for not letting you know that I was going to do this. But I've been asked in our WhatsApp group. So just to kind of backtrack a little bit for those of you that are new to the group, with your VIP membership, you get all of my masterclasses included, as well as your program, you know, your timetable, but also you get my support group, which I run through a WhatsApp group. And in that WhatsApp group, that support group is all for like healthy eating, women's health, hormone balance, nutrition. And at the moment, we're currently day 4 of a 14-day body reset. And one of the things that I have brought in over kind of the last really couple of years into my women's health groups and things like that is intermittent fasting. And it's something that I never used to do myself, and I'll explain the reasons as to why in a little bit. But it's something that actually this year I've brought into the way I eat and my kind of nutritional plan personally myself. And it kind of really works for me now. I think you have to be at a certain stage in your life and you have to be certainly comfortable with what you eat and what you don't eat to kind of get to that stage. So a couple of my ladies that are on the 14-day body reset with me in the WhatsApp group have asked me to do a little bit more information on intermittent fasting. Some of you I know follow intermittent fasting yourself and you do it yourself and you really, really enjoy it and you get a lot from it. Others of you might find it doesn't work for you. Okay, so here's as to why. Anyone who's got any underlying issues with regards to food, binging, not eating, sometimes it can flare those up. So for instance, I mean, I've always been very, very honest with you in this group. And throughout my teens and my early 20s, I suffered massively with various eating disorders, from binging to purging, bulimia, anorexia, you know, everything that you could think of was something that I went through. And it was kind of embedded in me, I suppose, from a very young age, being in performing arts, you know, background, and then getting into fitness. It was something that kind of helped me in a way at that time gain some control over my life that was very out of control. So when I first started doing work with Rachel with doing Kickstart fat loss, and some of you will be familiar with that and you've done Kickstart with me, Rachel was bringing in intermittent fasting. And at the time, for me personally, I didn't want any triggers that might bring back a case of not eating. And I was very much a person that if you'd have said to me, look, you don't need to eat breakfast and actually you only need to eat lunch and evening meal, then I was worried that I was going to fall back into that cycle of actually not eating breakfast and then not eating lunch and then not eating dinner. And it would have been a spiral effect. So at that time, when I first started doing Kickstart, I didn't bring in any intermittent fasting for me personally. It was something I let my members know about and they could choose if they wanted to do it or not. Whereas now I'm very much at a stage where I feel like that part of my life I've really accepted and come to terms with and moved on from. And it's not something that I feel that will snowball effect at all. I feel like I've mastered you know, those demons in a way that I can actually control this. And for me now, intermittent fasting is something that actually I do on a regular basis. I will do during the week. I won't do necessarily too much at the weekends. And I always used to be a breakfast girl. I used to be the girl that would, you know, if I didn't eat it first thing in the morning, I would feel physically sick. And it didn't matter what time I got up. You know, I could be going on a flight somewhere and I'd have to get up at 3 or 4 and I would always have breakfast before I left the house. So since we've been in lockdown, it's been quite interesting to really kind of feel differently about this, feel differently about intermittent fasting. So what's it all about? Well, people do it for different reasons. Some people do it for religious reasons and it's part of their culture. Other people find that intermittent fasting for them is a great way to reduce calorie intake, that they find that they're having enough calories within their lunch and within their evening meal that they actually don't need to eat a breakfast, and they intermittent fast. And they find that that really works for them. They're not very good at eating first thing in the morning. And actually, this kind of brunch, kind of late breakfast, early lunch style, having meal one around 11 o'clock, 11:30, really works for them as a great way of reducing calories in versus calories out. And everything that I promote within the 14-day body reset, my women's health program, Optimum, all of these things, it's never been about a diet. It's never, ever been about, you're not allowed to have this, you can only eat this, It's always been about guidance. It's about being accountable. It's about that kind of consistency of making your food more of a medicine and eating for health, and understanding that calories in versus calories out is 100% the way forward if you're thinking about trying to lose body fat. You know, there's no way that you're going to be able to lose body fat by not changing the amount of calories in that you are having as vice versa as your calories out. So it's really quite simple in that respect. Some people as well find that intermittent fasting for them massively helps to reduce the bloat. So they might, for instance, have a meal in the evening on the night before where actually they may have overindulged, or they've had quite rich foods. It's made them feel quite sluggish. And the next morning, they don't want to overeat. That if for them, you know, it's a case of reducing inflammation and giving the body the time to actually calm the system down. And then when you do eat, you put something in it which is very, very nutritious, like a greens juice or a high protein but smaller meal, to not completely, you know, garbage can the stomach or anything like that. So it kind of works for some people and it doesn't work for others. And I wanted to do this live today, not only because I've been requested to do it, but to give you the information that you might want to take on board. So it's not something that we do on a regular basis on the 14-day body reset, but I said to everybody yesterday, if you want to do an intermittent fast, then absolutely think about fasting for around sort of 17 to 20 hours from your evening meal the night before. So whenever you ate, say for instance, you ate at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., you would then count 17 to 20 hours. And then at that time, that's when you would break your fast. And we break our fast ideally with something quite small. So again, you're not kind of, you know, overindulging or binging because you're absolutely starving. And you'll find then that having something quite high protein with some good greens, or even something just like a greens juice, something quite small, and then a little bit later going into your meal one and then having your meal two. And literally that's where you stop. So it's not having 3 meals, it's having 2 meals and then a smaller, either high protein small meal or a greens juice from there. So for instance, this morning, I've just broke my fast. Probably it was, by the time I ate, it was probably about 11:45. And I like to do this if I'm teaching in the morning, if I've got clients as well. And I had clients this morning. And then I find that actually I can then break my fast around sort of 11:30. I thought Bentley wanted to go out then. Around 11:30, 12 o'clock time, with a small meal that then fuels me enough to be able to teach my lunchtime classes. So for instance, today I've had a greens juice, I've had a coffee, as always. I still have a coffee in the mornings, but I'll have a greens juice and I've just had some scrambled egg. So with organic eggs, organic milk, and I've just had some scrambled egg and a greens juice, and that's what I broke my fast with. So nothing too overpowering, just enough fuel for me 45 minutes before I'm going to teach. So if you've got any questions, gang, about intermittent fasting and whether or not, you know, you should do it for you or not, what you don't want to do, the way to get it wrong is to fast in the morning. Say, for instance, break your fast around 11:30, 12 o'clock, then have a huge meal because you're hungry, and then around sort of 4 o'clock have another meal because you're hungry again, and then have another meal later at night. That's not really the way it works. The whole point of intermittent fasting is that you miss essentially what would be that meal one, and instead you fast and then have a smaller meal, which is high protein, good amount of nutrients coming from your greens, and then you'll just have meal 2 and meal 3, okay? It's not for everybody, but certainly a lot of people find that actually it works for them. It makes them feel more vibrant. I know for me personally, in the mornings, I feel much more alert, much more switched on, a lot less bloated than if I was to say, for instance, have a bowl of cereal or have, you know, whatever I might have in the morning, before I'm teaching. And I think the big thing is because I'm teaching around sort of either 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9, 9:15, it would mean I'd have to have my breakfast really quite early in order for that to actually be digested. And that's probably why I feel quite sluggish and quite bloated if I have breakfast and then I teach. Weekends are different for me because I teach courses quite a lot. So for me, I'm teaching from like 10 till 4, and I tend to then, I will have breakfast probably around sort of 9:30, and I'll have food before I start teaching. So it works slightly different. A lot of people actually do an intermittent fast, say for instance on a Sunday when you have brunch rather than having breakfast and lunch. You have brunch and then for instance you'll have a Sunday dinner a little bit later, and you do that without even thinking about it. You have sort of like a late breakfast. So it's out there. Those of you that are in this group, if you would like to join the WhatsApp group, I will put the link for the WhatsApp group below on this video, and you can join that. I can send you all the information because, of course, whenever you join a WhatsApp group, you don't get to see all the messages beforehand. So I'll need to send you all the info separately. And we use the WhatsApp group for accountability. People take pictures of their food choices. They share recipes. I go live every day in that WhatsApp group doing a voice note, giving people motivation and information. And we kind of cover different stuff all the time. And I give you a guide as to what you're kind of focusing on. So for instance, day 1, which was Monday, we tried to go meat-free. We still ate fish and eggs. It wasn't like we were going veggie, unless people were veggie. But we went from a bit of a meat-free Monday, and we had 3 meals, 3 nutritious meals. We tried to eat in as much colour as possible, eat, high nutritious foods, but we didn't snack. And we're aiming for 2 litres of water a day. And then day 2, I brought in a little bit more, and day 3, a little bit more, and day 4, today, we've brought in a little bit more. We've tried to up our water intake by 1 litre. So if you were drinking 2 litres on Monday, you're trying to drink 3 litres today. So if you want any more information on the kind of nutritional side that you get with working with me and being in my VIP club, then let me know. Otherwise, I am going to be live in about 15 minutes, gang, doing Express. And this is a 30-minute HIIT class, and I'm going to use kettlebells and I'm going to use weights from here. So hopefully you can join me for that one. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you in a bit.